Hello, Dive Punch Gaming here, back with another Total War online battle commentary. So, this is Rome 2, as you can clearly see. All of my commentaries up to this point have been Shogun 2. I do enjoy Rome 2, but not as much as Shogun 2. Also, for some reason or another, I find it harder to find battles with people. Also, I had a very good battle recently. The shame is, often with these historical Total War people, is they can be a little bit more, let's just say, salty. Often, people will rage quit. I don't want to say rage quit, but just there'll be a turning point in the battle where they think I'm potentially not going to win this, and they just disappear, which is not very fun for the person they leave behind, and a big waste of my time and ruining my fun because I was having a very good battle. Also, sometimes people have different versions of Rome 2, or they have mods installed, so it can be quite hard to find a game. Luckily, I found this game and I had a very sportsmanlike opponent, and GG and all of that. Good communication, fun battle, as you'll see, was a siege battle. So I'm a Seleucids, I believe it's Seleucids or Seleucids. I think most people say Seleucids. So I've got my, successor states sort of army. So I've got heavy cav, lots of heavy cav. I've got armored elephants. I've got regular elephants. I have silver shield swordsmen. Say that 10 times. Silver shield swordsmen, the fake Roman legionaries, who are not very good, but I'd say they have their place, especially in a successor state's army. Because obviously, the majority of your army is going to be pikemen, and we all know that pikemen get flanked, so you need some more mobile troops to protect them, such as these guys. These are the super elite shield bearers, so they're like a hoplite type of unit, so they can be sturdy, and be in a kind of hoplite formation, but they're much more maneuverable at the same time than a heavy pike unit like these guys. So other than that, I have some archers, not too many archers, just 3 or 4 units. It seems like a lot, but this was a very large battle. And I got some scythed chariots, just 1 unit, but Seleucids, you gotta have some scythed chariots, and they look nifty, don't they? Oh, my chariots disappeared. Bunch of skirmisher cavalry, shit ton of camels, just because camels. Hilarious. Anyway, so on with the battle. There's not too much to say about my opponent's army. It's a very generic sort of Greek-inspired, Greek/barbarian, traditional, generic ancient army. Massila, don't really know much about the history of it, but he's got his Celts, a bunch of skirmishers. See my light cav scare away his skirmishers because they were annoying me. And then he's got a lot of swordsmen and a lot of hoplites. The majority of his force is just hoplites and swordsmen, and he's obviously invested a lot in artillery. He's got not much in the way of cav. He's got his general, which is medium cav. I'm sending out my scythe chariots just to freak him out. But I'm assuming, even though I have most of my troops along this wall because that's where most of his army's lined up, I can't see any of his other units, you know, but I was pretty sure he'd have hidden some. I assumed that he'd come from this direction purely because in the setup stage it looked like at first he set up most of his army over there, but apparently all his hidden units were coming from this way. At this stage you can only see, you know, he has one unit trying to come to knock down the door, but as the battle progressed I felt more and more comfortable to just pile my men out of this breach he'd made in the wall and take on the bulk of his army over here. So he promptly sees that and sets up battle lines. He puts his hoplites out in front, followed by skirmishers, and then he has most of his swordsmen protecting his rear as he sees I'm moving my various skirmisher cav around behind him to encircle him. I was hoping that I could take out his artillery and or general to mess with his morale, but he's had quite good placement putting his army here because this water feature is stopping me from getting my men around the side here. All he has to do is block that off. There's the woods here, but then his skirmishers can turn and take out my skirmishers if I try and get through the middle, or he can quickly have these units come round and close that door. I managed to sneak these around through this thin corridor here, so he just tries to widen this and stop me getting in the middle, and sends one of his units over here to stop me getting in, but it's too late. I'm sending my guys in to take out as many of his skirmishers as possible. I haven't really done a very good with my scythe chariots. They're good for charging, but stuck in a fight they're not really going to do anything, so they break. They haven't broken. I think I was trying to get them out of there, but they break very soon. Not before I send them after these guys and run them over. At this stage, this fight over here is not doing particularly well. I don't have enough guys. In combat. The only reason my guys aren't breaking is because it's a very traditional sort of slugfest with long poles, ancient style. You can see over here, poking each other. I don't know what my elephants are doing here and why I haven't sent them in yet at this stage. I was kind of micromanaging my chariots and trying to get the most out of them as possible, whilst this unit of his has charged after my skirmishers just to stop them from harassing him. I've charged his unit that broke through, and then after I destroy them, I send all my heavy cav to help out on the front lines, I believe. And what was I doing with these archers? Absolutely nothing. They weren't being very useful at all. Anyway, I think at this stage I'm just sort of reorganizing my men and trying to send some more infantry to the front line to help out. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only unit. He has a bunch more cavalry. As I should have guessed, seeing that army composition at the start, I should have known he had some more cavalry units hiding somewhere, as he literally only had his general. So I've sent my elephants in, and they've really gotten into the teeth of his defense. But they're taking a lot of damage from skirmisher fire and losing control. Luckily, losing control, stampeding into the enemy rather than my own guys, at least, causing a bit of panic. Made a big hole in the middle of his line, and then I'm just plugging that with these reinforcements, which is pretty good. So things are starting to look in my favour a bit at this stage, and I get some good charges into the back of this line of hoplites. The thing about elephants is they're always a bit of a gamble. I've sent in my, you can see I've sent in my heavy cav, and this flank is just, everything's going my way. I just have a crap ton of pikemen against some quite, well, I don't want to say poor troops, but they're outnumbered on that side. He's got a lot of troops here. I'm not sure why he didn't send them in to help. I think he's concentrating on sending these guys in, or clearly not, as they're just getting shot. But I can't really talk badly about his micromanagement because mine was very poor as well. Is this my general? Yeah, this is my general. So I don't seem to be doing much with these guys at the moment, but I have got my elephants back under control, and they're doing some quite good damage to his second line now, swordsman, which seems to have broken down as well. And I'm getting this cav in on the action. Same as over here. This, you know, just trying to catch his units that are sleeping, the ones that he's not paying attention to, just kind of moving my units around, using my superiority in cavalry to attack him, break down each unit in turn. Now stop sleeping and get these guys in on the action as well. Now he commits his swordsman to reinforce his men over here, but it's a bit too late. And at this stage, I think because he's mostly focusing on trying to take the town, as he cleverly staggered his hidden reinforcements, so that after I defeated the first wave, I emptied the town, and this allowed my opponent to then bring in the rest of his hidden reinforcements and try and take the town centre, which was only being defended. The only units I had left was in the town was a couple of skirmisher units and my general's unit, which wasn't enough to combat the units that he had brought in. And this may appear a standoff, but I think both my opponent, whose general's unit is right here, and myself, who has a unit of very heavy shock cav, a mere, 20 feet from his general's unit, appeared to just be eyeing each other. But then I wake up and see what's going on, but he hasn't taken his attention away probably from the fighting going on in the town. So I get the charge off, and which will rout his general, and I think that really sealed his fate. This unit here was in this big line the whole battle. It was very strange. That was something I did, maybe locking the unit's formation by accident or something. Yeah, my management is quite poor of this battle, not getting these extra units in on the fight. But it didn't matter, as you can see these guys break anyway. I believe I decided just to let them run, as at this point I turned my attention back and had seen that my general was faring very poorly against the guys in the town. There, I think he just died. Yeah, that was my general, I think. So I'm sending all of my guys back to the town to help out. See these guys ranking up like crazy as they defeat my units one at a time. And the rest of my army is heading back to town. Now I've sent my units to encircle this last unit of his, which nearly captured the town central point, but I managed to get everyone back in time to completely surround them and make them break. So, all in all, that was a very good battle, very fun, cool opponent, good kind of, basic army compositions. Mine was a little bit more off the wall. I had a lot of heavy cav and I had my elephants. Not too many skirmishers, but I had a lot of mounted skirmishers, and I think that helped me in a big way. I think the extra mobility I had really worked to my advantage when I decided to go on the offensive and mainly leave the town. And as you can see from this, he had a lot more men than me, nearly 4,000 to my 2,500, and I lost just over I lost 2,000, had 2,000 less losses than him. So I think, it says close victory, but I think that was a pretty strong victory. If you look at the army compositions, he really didn't have much in the way of cav, and where he did use them, was in the town. Whereas I think if he'd had them on his front line from the beginning, he could have used them to really flank my quite static infantry line from the start. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.